This is Let's Get Growing with horticulturalist Nathan Wilson at Lanier Nursery and Gardens in Flowery Branch. Get information you need for gardening, landscaping, and home plant care. We're taking your calls right now at 706-865-3181 or email info@wrwh.com. Now, here's Nathan.
Well, good morning, boys and girls. We're glad that you are joining us this wonderfully kind of wet and moist morning. Isn't it great in the middle of August to be able to have some nice rain? And it's not really the heavy, terrible rain that we normally get with our Georgia showers, but it's a nice kind of gentle rain, hopefully working on the plants, giving them life, because I know that some of my plants are not looking so alive at the moment. But that's okay, because it's all in the Lord's hands. So this morning, I want to welcome you to the show. You can give us a call. We are here to answer your gardening questions. You can call us at 706-865-3181, or you can give us a message at info@WRWH.com. Of course, we'd love to hear your voice if you'd like to give us a call. This morning, we're going to start this thing called Stump the Chump. Okay, Stump the Chump. If you think that you can, if you think that you can stump me, then you will win a prize this morning. So here's how it works: the first caller who calls in with a question that I don't have an answer for, they win a $25 gift card or gift certificate to Lanier Nursery and Gardens. Let me repeat that one more time. The first caller who calls with a question that I don't have an answer for, you're going to win $25 for plant purchases at Lanier Nursery and Gardens, which is a nursery I operate in Oakwood, Georgia, not too far south of Gainesville. So that's Stump the Chump. We will have the lines open for you to stump me if you'd like. 706-865-3181. Now, I want to let you know that if you'd like to see my pretty face, you sure can this morning at on Facebook. If you'll go to Lanier Nursery and Gardens, our Facebook page, just go on your phone or on the computer, type in Lanier Nursery and Gardens. We've got a good group of people who are watching this morning. Some are my family, but some are our friends from the nursery, of course. So go to Lanier Nursery and Gardens on Facebook, and you can watch this broadcast of the show live as we are answering your questions. Again, our number is 706-865-3181 if you want to give us a call. You can also listen other ways this morning. You know, here at WRWH, there are plenty of ways to listen. And as I like to always say, when you're on vacation this summer, you can listen, if you're not near the radio station, of course, you can listen live online at WRWH.com, where you can hear every great show that the station here presents every week. Or if you'd rather use your phone, your smartphone, you can go to the TuneIn app. Now, how that works is you go to wherever you buy your apps, whether it's the app store on Apple phones. Oh, I'm getting tongue-tied this morning. Or if it's like Google Play on the Android, you type in TuneIn, you download that, and then you just search for WRWH 93.9 FM, and you'll find us online there as well. So, another thing that we need to talk about is if you've missed any of our glorious shows. If you've missed any of them, you can listen to every one of them on YouTube.com. All you do is go to your YouTube app or YouTube.com, and you can listen to every show that we've made this summer. You'll search for WRWH. Make sure you subscribe at YouTube.com so that you'll get all of the fresh content that WRWH puts onto YouTube weekly. Or you can search it by Let's Get Growing WRWH, and you'll find the show there. I want to let you know, folks, that, of course, we have some big things happening this morning. We, of course, have our garden soliloquy from Ethel. She will be up later in the show, and we'll have our plant of the week. So if you just stick around, hang around, we'll answer some of your questions first this morning, but then we'll get to Ethel, her garden soliloquy, and a plant of the week. Give us a call this morning at 706-865-3181, or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com. And like I mentioned earlier, you can also watch live at Lanier Nursery and Gardens on Facebook, where you will be able to we'll ask your questions there, and we'll give you an answer there.
We've also got it on the WRWH Facebook page as well.
Perfect. So my producer there, Buster, he he has worked it up here. It was kind of a last-minute decision for the both of us, but we were able to get it on both pages. Glad he gave us that update.
I got to earn that paycheck somehow or another.
Yes, you do, sir. It is good to eat. So if you go to WRWH on Facebook, you can see also a link to the live broadcast. And like I said, you can see my pretty face, which is not really that pretty. But okay, so this morning, of course, give us a call at 706-865-3181, or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com. Now, this past week, a lot of things have happened. And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I want to mention this because it's something that happened in sort of my life, but a life of a couple of my friends. A couple of my friends, a long-time friend and some, well, they're both long-time friends. We all go to church together. We're all about the same age. They were actually in the hospital at the same time, giving birth to babies. And the babies were born on the same day. One is a boy and one is a girl. Now, how often does that happen? How often does that happen that you have two babies who are, know each other, well, they're going to know each other at least, born on the same day? It's pretty wild. So, you think about life. That's human life. You think about life in the garden and how things just continue to grow, continue to change, and continue to develop. Now, this morning, if you have a question about what's developing in your garden or what's developing in your landscape, then feel free to give us a call, because you look out there and things may not be as green as they were. They may not be as green as they were. They may be a little yellow. We call that chlorosis. But we can help solve chlorosis if you just let us know what's going on. Maybe there's black spots on your roses. I had a guy who came into the nursery this week and he had black spots on his roses, and I gave him a solution that was going to help solve that problem. So, again, give us a call at 706-865-3181, and we'll be glad to answer all of your gardening questions. Now, this morning, we want to go to the phones, I believe, because we are rocking and rolling already. So let's talk to Thomas this morning. Thomas, how are you this morning?
Doing good, Nathan. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Good to hear from you. What can we do for you?
Well, yes. You've been a big help in the past. I need some help a little bit more. As we're going close to autumn and getting close to fall, I definitely am interested in what you would advise is the proper technique for planting trees and shrubs. But in particular, I have some grapevines I'm hoping to plant. And, of course, I don't want to mess them up.
Okay, so you want to plant some grapevines. So this morning, Thomas is on the line. He wants to plant some grapevines, and he wants to know how to do it and how to do it well, I assume. So here's the key. With trees and shrubs, and really this grapevine is going to be in the ground for a long time. It's going to be growing, and it's going to be in its spot for year after year to come. And so what we're going to do is you're going to just plant the plant in the native soil, okay? But you're going to want to soften the soil a good bit so that there's no clods bigger than 1 inch. So 1 inch or less, okay? That's the idea. Now, what you want to do is you want to get a very wide hole, first of all, for planting. And by the way, Thomas, this goes for more than just grapes. This goes for any tree or shrub. Plant a hole that is 3 times as wide as the root ball that you buy and 1 time as deep as the root ball. So 3 times as wide, 1 time as deep, and very soft soil. And you want to put the plant in there and then put the soil around that root ball. Now, the key with grapevines, it's going to be different. It's going to be different than most trees and shrubs. What you want to do is you want to run some kind of wire or trellis at 3 foot high, about 5 foot high across 2 posts. Now, generally, that would be 2 posts that are spaced about 8 to 10 foot at least, because those grapevines, especially if it's muscadines, they're going to grow and grow and grow. So you want to give them plenty of width left to right, so at least 8 to 10 foot, and about 4 to 5 foot high, just enough so you can work them and pick them. If you go any higher, you'll not be able to pick them. If you go too low, they may drag on the ground too much because they will have some long vines. So then what you want to do is you want to water it well, and let's see, if you plant now, you can fertilize, but you don't want to fertilize anytime after September 1st, around Labor Day. So just let it ride out through the winter. It's growing underground. You won't be able to tell it because it's growing its roots. But you do want to mulch it before you put it to rest for the winter, we'll say. You want to mulch it with 2 inches 2 inches of mulch, 2 inches thick, and you want to make sure that it's 2 inches away from the base of the plant. Okay, 2 inches away from the base of the plant. You don't want to pile mulch around the stem, because what can happen is then that moisture that holds on to the mulching material is going to cause rot around the stem, and that's not a good thing. So definitely you want to here's your keys for planting trees, shrubs, even this grapevine is: dig a wide hole 3 times as wide, and dig it just as deep, no deeper, or it might sink below ground. And then you want to soften the soil as much as you can and put it back in the hole. Definitely mulch and water. Okay, so Thomas, how does that help you?
That's a big help. I appreciate that, Nathan. Thank you.
Now, what kinds of grapes are you interested in using? Do you know yet?
In particular, I think I'm leaning towards muscadine for sure.
Yes, muscadine is the American grape. Very tasty, very easy to use, to grow. I mean, because they're native here to the southeast, and so what they do is they already have a resistance. They already have a resistance to many diseases that some of the European grapes, which we call like table grapes and whatnot, that they tend to get down here in our heat and humidity. So it's a great choice, Thomas. And if you need any help with that, you know where to find me at Lanier Nursery and Gardens. Okay.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks for calling, Thomas. We appreciate it. Now, what a great viney question for the morning. To get us started off is a good vining question. And if you have a question that's burning up your tomatoes, give me a call at 706-865-3181, or you can email us at info@WRWH.com. And if you're just joining us, be sure to go to WRWH's Facebook page or my Facebook page at Lanier Nursery and Gardens, and you'll be able to watch us streaming our broadcast this morning live, and you can ask your question there. We've got a lot of folks on Facebook who are joining us. We actually have a former teacher of mine who says she used to work at WRWH when she went to Truett McConnell College. So that was wonderful. And, of course, we have a lot of folks who are saying hey and waving at us. So if you want to join in on the fun on Facebook Live, feel free to. There's a good discussion going there. Again, this morning we have a Stump the Chump challenge, okay? I guess I'm the chump, which, by the way, is not really a good word, but you can stump me, meaning if you're the first caller who calls with a question that I don't have an answer for, and trust me, I have an answer to a lot of questions, then you can win $25 to spend at your pleasure at Lanier Nursery and Gardens in Oakwood. So we'll be glad to take daunting questions, and we'll be glad to take questions that are easy or that are not easy. But if you stump me, we'll give you a wonderful $25 gift certificate this morning.
You've got mail.
So we go to our mailbox. Again, that's info@WRWH.com. And this one is from Jerry. Now, Jerry, he says he's from Saltine, Nakuchi, just down the street, up the road. A landscaper installed a big oak tree in our yard 2 years ago. They strapped and staked it and told me to keep the stakes on for a few years. When do I remove the stakes? You know what, Jerry? This is a big concern, because I see this all the time, where some landscapers come in, or maybe homeowners, they plant these large trees. And what happens is they leave these straps and stakes on. Now, strapping and staking trees is not inappropriate. It's appropriate, but it's not appropriate for years at all. Strapping and staking trees really should only last for 6 months. So, Jerry, my recommendation to you is to take down the straps, take down the stakes at this point. If it's been in there for a couple of years, that's way too long. So what you want to do is you want to remove those straps and allow the plant to actually sway back and forth a little bit, because right at the base of the tree where the roots are, there is a group of cells called parenchyma cells. That's a little too much information. But those parenchyma cells, when the plant actually sways and tilts to the left and to the right, what happens is these cells are triggered to build strength and integrity and just make the plant stronger around the base of the tree. So for 2 years, unfortunately, you have been strapping the tree, not allowing it to sway in the wind. It is appropriate, like I said, for 6 months or so to let the tree get established, start growing some roots. But at this point, your tree has plenty of roots to hold up on its own, but it does need to start swaying a bit in the wind. You know, we are concerned when the plant is new, because what happens is it might tip over, it might fall over in its hole there. But once the roots start to grow out, about 6 months, then it's fine. It's handling its own. So what you want to do is take off the straps at this point and take off the straps and take off any stakes that may be there. Let the plant do its own. Okay, Jerry, thanks for your question and emailing it to us. And if you have a question, you can email us at info@wrwh.com, or you can call us at 706-865-3181. Join us live on WRWH's Facebook page and Lanier Nursery and Gardens Facebook page. That's where we're streaming. You can go to either one. Make sure to like both of our pages so you can be here with us every week asking your questions on Facebook. We'll be right back after this short break to answer more of your questioning questions.
For live editions of Let's Get Growing, tune in Saturday mornings at 9 at AM 1350 WRWH and 93.9 FM.
Back to more Let's Get Growing with Nathan Wilson.
All right, folks, boys and girls, we're glad you are gardening with us. We definitely want to get growing together. We want to have some fun in the landscape, have some fun in the garden. That's what it's about. You know, being like a sort of professional in this field, sometimes people take it too seriously. People take gardening too seriously sometimes. They really do. Horticulture. And it's not a good thing, because if you're not having fun in horticulture, then there's really no point in doing it, you know? Yes, there is an aspect that, you know, you're producing something, you are growing something from a seed or from a cutting or from the earth, raw and gritty, you know. And some people do that, you know, like when I worked for the State Department of Agriculture, many horticulturalists were growing blueberries in the field. They were growing pecans in the field. They were doing all of these things, and it's their business, and they got to take that seriously. But at the same rate, it's fun. And so for a gardener, this week I found a great little post. A quote. It says, "Gardeners are producers. Anyone else is a consumer." You know, and so if you're growing something, then if you're producing something, you're a grower, you're a producer. And so if you have, whether it's flowering plants or whether it's vegetable plants, you are growing, you are producing. But along the way, problems happen and things occur that we can't explain, but I can help you. I want to be your personal gardening friend, consultant. Oh, let's call it coach. Call me Garden Coach Nathan. Here we go. Give us a call at 706-865-3181, or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com. And I do want to remind you that we are streaming our broadcast this morning live on Facebook. You can go to WRWH Facebook. Just go on your smartphone, go on the computer, wherever you are, and go to the Facebook. We've got a great group of people who are joining us on the show this morning. You can also go to Lanier Nursery and Gardens Facebook page. Make sure to like WRWH and Lanier Nursery Gardens page for sure, because we want to make sure that you keep in touch with us and that you're asking questions and getting answers that you deserve. Now, I want to take a moment to answer a question here from Dan the Man 817. Dan the Man 817. Dan, I hope you're joining us somewhere, maybe on Facebook. But Dan the Man 817, what's the difference between a peach and a nectarine? What is the difference between a peach and a nectarine? Maybe this is trying to stump me, but I know the answer to this. There's one word, there's one difference. The difference between peach and nectarine is fuzz. That's all that a nectarine is a fuzzless peach. It really is. They're in the same family. They're basically like, basically a nectarine is like a child of peach, meaning that they're exactly the same except for one little difference, and that's the fuzz. You know, some of us have a nice fuzzy hairdo, and others are nice, cleanly shaven. So that's the main difference between nectarine and peach. Dan, no difference really, except the fuzz. So thanks for doing that. We go to our phones this morning, and Teresa has been waiting. Teresa, how are you this morning? Teresa, can you hear us? Hello, Teresa? Teresa, she's out there. I can hear her shuffling papers. Oh no. Teresa, give us a call back. Teresa. Oh no. Okay. Well,
we heard her.
Yeah.
She couldn't hear us.
Teresa was there, but she couldn't hear us. So, Teresa, if you're out there, be sure to give us another call. It looks like she had a question about crepe myrtles. That'd be a great time of year. They're beautiful right now. You know,
she had to take one out of her yard, and the roots are still there, and they're still making shoots.
Okay, good. So here we go. Let's answer this question since we got disconnected. I'm glad that Buster was able to capture and relay her message in its entirety. So Teresa has a crepe myrtle tree. It's been removed, but there's roots still protruding from the soil, and there are shoots that are coming up. Teresa, this is a very common problem. This is a very common issue because crepe myrtle is a suckering plant, and that's why most crepe myrtles have multiple stems, because they send up multiple trunks. Now, the deal is, you're going to have to try to either chemically kill or physically remove some of these things. Continue to get those plant parts out of there, because they will continue to sprout. It's just the nature of crepe myrtle. Crepe myrtle is just a big suckering plant, and you do have to keep them at bay. Even when you have a plant that's still there, you've removed it, Teresa, but even when your plant is still there, you have to deal with suckers. Some of the new cultivars maybe sucker a little less, but definitely the old-fashioned ones, some of the first ones that were brought over from China, those in Japan, that area over there in Asia, those are big suckers, big suckering trees, and you do have to either mow them over, cut them down, keep moving them. We actually have a product from Bonide that stops suckering. You paint it onto the leaves or to the stems, and it'll stop it. So be sure to check us out, Teresa, at Lanier Nursery and Gardens for the Sucker Stop. I think it's called Sucker Stop. I'll have to remember. But anyhow, it's a great product to help reduce the number of suckers on your crepe myrtle. Now, we do have I want to remind you folks that we are streaming live. We've got a great group of people joining us this morning. And we've got our first question from Lynn. Lynn, who's a great customer, says, how should I get my Penny Mac hydrangeas ready for winter? Okay, Lynn. So Lynn had purchased some beautiful Penny Macs earlier this year. She's told me it's done great so far. I'm glad you're asking this question, because the trouble with Penny Mac hydrangea is that they are rebloomers. Okay, it's not a trouble, but they also bloom on old wood. So if you want to do any pruning, you want to do it now. You don't want to do any more pruning after September 1st. Okay, Lynn? And you want to go ahead and snip off what you need to snip off. Give them a last shot of fertilizer to encourage some growth. And then you might mulch them. Make sure that they're well mulched to keep their roots pretty moderated. For the soil to be moderated, to keep the soil moderated throughout the winter. Because big leaf hydrangea, which is the kind that Penny Mac hydrangea is, because they can get a little winter damage on the tips, we want to make sure that their roots are definitely protected. They're hardy here, meaning that they last through the winter, but the trouble is the tips may die back. So if you see a little bit of tip damage next year, don't be afraid. That's kind of the normal way to do it. But do any pruning, any fertilizing right now, and definitely cover some mulch over the top of the root ball. So we have another question. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, that is at WRWH's Facebook page or Lanier Nursery and Gardens, you can ask a question there. Or you can give me a call at 706-865-3181. And Amy, a good friend of mine, says, when is the best time to prune knockout roses? The best time to prune knockout roses, let's see, how do I say this? Because they love to be pruned. So anytime while they're growing, and they're still growing now. So you can prune them now if you like to kind of keep some height control, because they can get massive and they can get out of control sometimes, especially around the summer when they just go crazy. Definitely deadhead now, Amy. Cut them back some. Keep them fresh looking. And always fertilize. Always fertilize when you cut, because anytime you remove part of the plant, you want to give back to it. Now, Amy, I do want to say, though, that the last time you would want to prune these are as much like the hydrangea that we were talking about just a minute ago, is September 1st or around Labor Day. You don't want to go any further than that, because the plant is going to try to regrow, and you don't want that fresh green growth to cause any problems in the winter. But if you do 6 weeks before October 15th, which is the 1st of September, that's the last time I would do it. But then again, Amy, after winter is over, about March 1st or so. So the last time is September 1st. The first time next year is going to be March 1st. You can go ahead and cut them back. And with roses in particular, you can cut them hard. I mean, just 12 inches tall or so, not very tall at all, and leave about 4 to 5 really strong canes. And if you leave those really strong canes, about 4 or 5, you'll see a great, beautiful plant. Sometimes we do not cut them back enough. And year after year, these plants just get bigger and bigger and bigger until they look like a monster in the garden. So Amy, I hope that answers your question. And thanks for asking it here on Facebook Live. Again, folks, give us a call at 706-865-3181. We'd love to hear your beautiful Saturday morning voice on the radio here, or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com, and also join us on Facebook at WRWH Facebook page or Lanier Nursery and Gardens. We'll be there live for the next half hour. And coming up in the next half hour, of course, is our garden soliloquy from Ethel and our plant of the week. So hang on tight, and we'll be right back.
For live editions of Let's Get Growing, tune in Saturday mornings at 9 at AM 1350 WRWH and 93.9 FM.
More great information coming your way on Let's Get Growing with Nathan Wilson.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is the second half of the hour at Let's Get Growing. We're glad you're with us. We are taking your phone calls at 706-865-3181. And this morning we're running a special Stump the Chump challenge where if you're the first caller, nobody stumped me yet, but if you're the first caller who calls in with a question that I don't have an answer for, I'm going to give you a $25 gift certificate to come see me and purchase plants at Lanier Nursery and Gardens. But let's get to the phone. Cal is on the line with us this morning. How are you this morning, Cal?
Doing great. Calling from Flowery Branch.
Wonderful. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I've got a beautiful, pretty good size Bermuda yard in which I've been able to get all the weeds out and everything, and it basically looks pretty lush even for this time of year. But we had a water line break between the house and the street, and we ended up running a new line. So I have a 200-plus foot gash across the lawn there, and in digging that up, there's rocks, dirts of clods. They did try to take the sod that was on top, and it's randomly stuck in the trench that was dug there.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about, I know I can go get the rocks out, but I'm thinking about the best way to repair or get this back to normal.
Yeah. So let me see if I get this right, Cal. You've had the water bust, water pipe broken, which of course there had to be some utility done there in the lawn, in your beautiful, gorgeous, weed-free lawn, and now we have this this trench that we need to try to get back. And you've got some rock in there from where they just kind of haphazardly, I guess, threw things.
Yeah,
back
we have when they excavated the lot 15 years ago, it came down to basically kind of a hard pan in areas where there hadn't been digging before.
Oh, okay.
Like a red clay that's underneath. And in that was rocks and that sort of thing. And I can, of course, the lawn's grown with that. I know I'm going to probably have to rake or go through and try to pull it out. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, the pieces of lawn that were there, they've randomly stuffed either sideways, upside down, or whatever into the hole or into the trench.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure if any of that's going to come back, or I'm just the best way to try to get this back where it looks the way it should.
Yeah. So the great thing about Bermuda, growing Bermuda, is that it's a great aggressive grower. It has what we call rhizomes and stolons, which are underground and above ground stems that grow, and so I don't have, there's no problem in my mind or concern that lawn is not going to heal itself. Depending on the width and all, it could depend on how fast it happens. But you still have time to jump on this, Cal. You can come in with, like you said, raking. The soil should already be soft if they didn't compact it down when they redid all the work.
No, they didn't. It's about a foot. The top of the trench is about a foot, a little over a foot maybe.
Yeah, okay. So you mean, let's see, so there's still, okay, so the width is 12 inches or so.
Yeah, we are at the top. And right now the dirt is, when they put that back in, it actually is higher than the lawn. I've got a little bit of a berm there all the way
it's a little higher. Yeah, so
Right.
you can kind of, like you said, kind of smooth that out and rake that out. As long as the soil is soft, that will encourage the Bermuda to continue to grow and kind of mend itself where that break has been. But you're going to encourage it even sooner and quicker by applying a high nitrogen fertilizer, some kind of lawn fertilizer.
Yeah, that's what helps, because I'm thinking we're not totally out of a season where maybe there could be some growth.
Absolutely. You're exactly right, Cal. You can actually continue to apply fertilizer until about Labor Day. And in Labor Day, we don't want to encourage a whole lot of more growth, even in lawns, that's trees and shrubs as well, because we want the plant to get kind of used to going dormant, we would call it, going into winter. And it's going to start getting colder as we go to October, So if you can fertilize, you could fertilize now and then maybe in a couple of weeks. And I think you'll see some really good growth. But you got to work that soil first. If you get the grade of the soil like you want it to be instead of having that little ridge, that hump there. And I think you'll see some great success if you apply some fertilizer now and in a couple of weeks. And we had a good rain today, or at least on my way here was a nice little rain. So you may be able to encourage more growth of the water if it gets dry in the next couple of weeks. But the forecast looks like plenty of rain. So I think
that's what I'm hoping. Now, when you said fertilizer, I know they have the numbers there. What mix of fertilizer would be the best?
Perfect. So what you're looking for is a high nitrogen, which is going to be that first number.
Okay.
At the nursery, at Lanier Nursery Gardens, we have a premium lawn fertilizer, which is like 20%, which is a pretty good it's not over the top kill for that. Sometimes they can go into the 30s and 33s and 40s. I don't think you need that much, but what you can do is say about a 20 or so at least, and you can apply that. This particular product does not have any phosphorus in it. It's got potassium and nitrogen, but it's got plenty of nitrogen to encourage top growth, and then the potassium will encourage all around growth. So you may want to check out that product.
Now, is that like in granules that I guess dissolve with rain, or can you? I guess you could hand with that smaller size. I would hand put that out by hand, right?
Absolutely. So it is a pelletized product. It comes in a sack, and you can just easily scoop it with your hands, gloved hands or whatever, and you can broadcast it right there in the areas that you want to encourage and kind of coax the grass to come back and grow together. So very easy to apply, and you're right. The rain will kind of slowly release that and give it just the amount of nitrogen it needs as we go further and further through time here. So I think if you apply that and make sure that you get your grade set first, then you'll see great success on mending that Bermuda lawn where you've had that steep cut there. So
okay, well, thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Cal, for your question, your call. We appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Cal was from Flowery Branch. Sounds like maybe some of the folks that are tuning in with us on Facebook Live. You can go to WRWH's Facebook page and also Lanier Nursery and Gardens Facebook page, and you can join us there. Now, I'll let you know that Buster is uploading to that presentation on Facebook our soliloquy. So even before it airs, you can participate and hear the garden soliloquy from Ethel and also Plant of the Week, which will be coming up soon. We do, though, excuse me, goodness, that is embarrassing, isn't it? We do have a question from our Facebook friends who are joining us. I hope Judy is still hanging around. Judy asks, how do you get hibiscus ready for winter and when? Okay, so Judy, depends on the type of hibiscus you have. If you have a tropical hibiscus, I'm going to say that you're going to want to bring that hibiscus into the house. If it's in a container, if it's not a container, you can put it into one. But a tropical hibiscus won't make it through the winter, so you want to bring that in to the whether it's a garage or into the house as a house plant, a sunny area. You can do that as soon as the nighttime temperatures drop to like the high 40s, I guess. You don't want to go much less than 48 or so with some of these tropicals. When we get into the 50s, we're getting concerned. But now if you have a hibiscus that is hardy, a hardy hibiscus, which we sell at Lanier Nursery and Gardens, these are hibiscus that come back year after year from the ground. And you would want to make sure that you mulch. Okay, that's going to be the biggest thing with most plants in the fall, is to make sure there's a good amount of, not a good amount, 2 inches of mulch. Sometimes our mulch, it decomposes pretty quickly from the summer with all our heat and water and humidity and all. And so we want to replenish that. 2 inches thick and 2 inches away from the base of the plant. That is the ideal amount of mulch to use. Now, what you want to do on top of that, though, is you want to make sure the canes that are there are left there all winter long. You don't want to cut the canes on hibiscus back, Judy. Not now. You want to do that. About the 1st of March, actually. So even though the canes are going to be dry and kind of crunchy throughout the winter, you want to leave them there, because what can happen is if you cut them back in the wintertime, water can fall into those canes, into that fresh cut, and it can freeze and damage the rootstock. Now, you don't want that, do you, Judy? So don't do any pruning. Let them naturally, leaves fall. Let the canes stay there. It may look a little unsightly, but it's for the health of your plant. It's for the health of your plant, Judy. So that's what you want to do to make sure to overwinter hibiscus if it's hardy. Give us a call at 706-865-3181, or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com. I'm going to take a little break because we're going to go straight to our buddy Ethel and see what's going on in her garden.
And now it's time for a garden soliloquy from Ethel, because when an insect bugs her begonias, she really knows how to squish it.
Dear nasty, terrible, low-down Japanese beetle, I know you are hungry and you've had a long flight from the Pacific Ocean, but would you please stop it? Stop eating my roses and my shrubbery and my beautiful perennial flowers. Haven't you had enough? I mean, how much could a half-inch body like yours possibly consume? You've even brought over your 1,000,000 brothers and sisters. I would appreciate it if you would stop hosting your family reunions in my garden. You really have very little respect for the beauty of nature, devouring, chewing, and destructing my gorgeous leaves and petals. I have a good mind to call up the county sheriff and have you locked up for vandalism. But I don't think I could say it better than the old gardener poet. There are bugs from which you cower. There are bugs you squeeze with ease. There are bugs that bugs devour. There are bugs that bite your knees. There are bugs you hate with passion. There are bugs at which you scoff. But the bugs that eat your flowers are the bugs that tick me off. So, my dear Mr. Beetle, I bet with all this eating your little tongue is quite thirsty. So, if you dare show your buggy eyes around my garden again, I've got a Dixie cup of soapy water with your name on it. Sincerely, Ethel.
All right. Well, we always love to hear from our gardening friend, Ethel. She does a great job at, I don't know really what she does a great job at. She does a great job at getting back at things that make her mad. So that's a good thing. We've got a question here from Maggie from Cleveland. Maggie says, my grandson says his teacher taught them that a tomato is a fruit. I think the little smart aleck is pulling my leg. Isn't a tomato a vegetable? Well, Maggie, I hate to say it, but it depends on how you look at it. So vegetable in the world of botany and all is not a real thing. It's not a real thing. It's just a marketing term. You go to the grocery store and there are vegetables, but there's no such thing as there's vegetative parts of a plant like leaves and stems and whatnot. But you know what, Maggie, to be honest, your grandson, he's right. The little smart aleck is right. Anything that comes from a flower, which is a fruit, and tomatoes start their life out as a flower. So guess what? It is a fruit. Botanically speaking, that's what I put in front of that. Botanically speaking, or scientifically speaking, tomatoes are fruits. However, when you go to the grocery store, it quickly becomes something different, and it becomes a vegetable. So, Maggie, thanks for emailing us at info@WRWH.com. But if you have a question, you can call us at 706-865-3181. And also this morning, join us live on WRWH Facebook page or Lanier Nursery and Gardens Facebook page, where we are broadcasting live. We have some more questions coming from Facebook, actually. So we'll get back to those after this short break. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining with us.
For live editions of Let's Get Growing, tune in Saturday mornings at 9 at AM 1350 WRWH and 93.9 FM.
Back to more Let's Get Growing with Nathan Wilson.
That's right. We are gardening by the seat of our pants this morning, as Buster just said. Now, this morning we have a great opportunity for you to call in. Give us a call, 706 865-3181. Join us on Facebook Live, WRWH, or Lanier Nursery and Gardens. You can see us there. We are getting close to our plant of the week. But before we do that, how about we answer a question from Facebook? We'll answer a question from Facebook that Courtney, she writes in, she says, do I need to do anything to Millie Mac azaleas? So Millie Mac azalea is a beautiful hybrid native azalea. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, these petals are like pink, white, and yellow, all in the same flower. And the thing that Courtney loved about them, I remember when she purchased them earlier this spring, is they smell wonderful. The fragrance is wonderful. Courtney, let's see. This time of year, I'm probably going to say the same I would about some of these others is to mulch, okay? Be sure to mulch it. And again, we don't need a mulch volcano around the plant. That's what we call it when we see mulch piled up inches tall around the base of the plant. We just need about 2 inches or so of mulch, thick. And then 2 inches away from the base of the plant. That's how we do mulch. You could fertilize them one last time, but no more fertilizing after Labor Day or so. And then you can water the fertilizer in. And we've talked a lot about fertilizer. We talked to Cal about lawn fertilizer. We talked to some other Facebook folks who had some questions about fertilizers. The thing about fertilizer is you want a slow-release fertilizer. Nowadays, we have the science that, let's see, maybe back up. I'm going to back up. Back in the old days, fertilizers were like release immediately. You throw them on the ground, you get a rain, and they wash away. But now we have science and we have technology that now our fertilizers can slowly break down over the course of time, maybe 2 to 3 months. That's what we have at the nursery is a 12-6-6, 2 to 3 months slow-release fertilizer. Great for trees, shrubs, perennials, annual, anything really that's in your landscape. So that is the kind of fertilizer I'm talking about. And I would say, again, Courtney, for yours, just go ahead and do it now, and then let the plant grow a little bit and ride it out. I'll tell you what, earlier this week I recorded a segment, of course, we've shared with you every week is Plant of the Week. Let me take a little break from talking and here live, but this is something we did earlier, and I think you're going to love this plant. Absolutely. You're going to love it.
Today's Plant of the Week is brought to you by the vervain family, the family of plants that the Celtic people used to aid in removing bladder stones. Today, however, we are going to talk about one of our most favorite and perennial types, the homestead verbena. Homestead verbena is a great native plant to the United States, so it attracts a wide variety of native bees, butterflies, and other pollinators with their temptingly sweet nectar. So what's the big deal with this plant? Homestead verbena is beautiful and adds gorgeous flowers to the garden. It presents thick gobs of corm-shaped purple flowers that continuously bloom all summer long. As a matter of fact, each flowering gob can hold up to 20 flowers. And no, gob is not a proper botanical term. I learned it from my southern upbringing. Anyways, there are other homestead verbena varieties that have red or pink petals as well. Homestead verbena is a wonderfully short plant, growing only 8 to 18 inches tall, but spreads up to 3 feet wide. Plant verbena in the full sun to get the most out of the summer bloom show. Verbena can work great in the front of the perennial border or alongside pathways and steps. However, be careful not to plant it in soil that stays too moist or wet. Excellent drainage is necessary. Verbena is also quite notable in history. It is claimed that a relative of homestead verbena, known as common verbena, was used to help stop bleeding of Jesus Christ's wounds on Calvary. Also, during the Victorian age, verbena was associated with enchantment and sensibility. If you're tired of replanting annual verbena year after year, try the perennial type, homestead verbena. It's beautiful, native, and always available at Lanier Nursery and Gardens. Homestead verbena, a wise decision for the perennial border, and it's my plant of the week.
All right, there it is, the plant of the week. Let me tell you what, folks. I was just chatting with the people on Facebook Live during the break there. That is a wonderful, beautiful plant. You've got to come check it out. At least Google it and see what it looks like, and then definitely check it out. It's a great low plant, and it's just wonderful. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and tell a little story. One of my professors from the University of Georgia, he discovered that plant. Growing somewhere in middle Georgia. Him and another professor from UGA were driving in, nowhere, Georgia, I guess. I don't know the name of the town. But anyhow, they drove by and they saw this beautiful mass of purple flowers out in this old homestead, this old home site. And they stopped the car and backed up and pulled ferociously into the yard, and they knocked on the front door of that old home place. And he, as he tells it, this man came out and said, "Howdy." And then they say, we just want to ask you about whose plant this is here. That's my mama's. I'm gonna have to get her. She's the one who grows the flowers around here. So mama comes out and she said, "Howdy." I don't know. And they say, "We just love this beautiful flower." They didn't know much about it at the time, but they asked her about it and talked to her about it. They let them take cuttings, and now the cuttings the plants you come by at the nursery are from the same original cuttings that those two UGA professors took out of that lady's home place back in middle of nowhere, Georgia. So very interesting to know the origin of where plants are from. But if you have originated a garden in your landscape and you are having some problems, give me a call this morning at 706-865-3181, and we'll be glad to answer in like the next 6 minutes or so. Or you can send us a message, info@WRWH.com. Join us live on Facebook at WRWH's Facebook page, and you can ask your questions there. I do want to remind you, though, that you can watch, or listen to, rather, old shows, our past shows, I shouldn't say old shows, but our past shows, on YouTube. So go to youtube.com, search WRWH, subscribe to WRWH's YouTube channel there, and you'll get reminders to come and watch Let's Get Growing every week. But if you've missed something because you've been on vacation, you can surely go and find it at youtube.com. So this morning, we're taking your questions at 706-865-3181. And this morning, we're going to go to, here's a good one here. We're going to go to Matt. And Matt says, "We live in the windiest place in White County. Can I use trees to cut down on all this wind?" You absolutely can, Matt. You can use trees as what we call a windbreak. Now, a windbreak is a line of trees, generally evergreen, generally large and robust, but of course beautiful for the aesthetics. But they can cut down on the wind if they're properly placed. Now, a lot of people plant a line of trees, and it may or may not work. But the research shows that if you want to make it happen, you want to get the height of the tree when it's mature. So say it's 30 feet, okay? If the tree is 30 feet, you want to plant it 2 to 5 times away from the house. So 30 times 2 is 60. 30 times 5 is 150. You want to plant it between 60 to 150 feet away from the house, and you want to plant it perpendicular to the direction of the wind. So whichever way the wind is blowing and coming, you want to draw a straight line cutting that off between 60 to 150 feet if the plant gets 30 foot tall. Okay, Matt? So that's how it happened. Now, of course, you're going to plant a tree that's not 30 feet. The plant might be 6 or whatever. But regardless of how high it is now, go ahead and plant it this fall, okay? And then in the spring, you can start fertilizing it, pushing it with some nitrogen fertilizer to encourage some good growth. And you can do that really every couple of weeks or so with a high nitrogen, probably like a lawn fertilizer. And you can get that little short, 6-foot tree into a tree that's closer to 30 feet much quicker. Some good examples, though, Matt, of some trees you may want to check into. One of them would be green giant arborvitae, which is a beautiful dark green plant. You could use cryptomeria. Cryptomeria gets very large, would make a great screen for wind, a good windbreak. And also maybe Arizona cypress. Arizona cypress is beautiful because it actually has an ashy color, where it's not, some of these other plants are deep green. This is a nice blue ashy color. So really interesting plants you can use there. And they're large, they're robust, they're going to take up a lot of space. So, Matt, thanks for emailing us. Of course, our email is info@WRWH.com. This week, if you want to send us a message, maybe something happens in the landscape, you don't want to forget to get an answer, go ahead and email us there, or you can give us a call at 706-865-3181. I know we're closing in on the hour, so I might say a few words about gardening and say a few words about encouraging. Even though it's hot outside and even though you may get sweaty, it's always a good thing to get outside and get dirt under your fingernails. As a matter of fact, I get my fingernails dirty so often that I have a special fingernail brush that I use quite frequently. So when you get out there, you're building a relationship with the soil. You know, I've talked about this before, but every person who lives on earth has some kind of relationship with the soil. Either they walk across it, either they build a house upon it, or they get out there and they're always growing things, cultivating, and doing wonderful things in the soil. So I hope this week that you will build your relationship with the soil, that you will become friendly with the soil, and that you will see success. But if you don't, we can help you find that success. We'll be right back here this time, 9 o'clock next week, to answer your gardening questions. So be sure to write them down. Be sure to keep a record of them. Don't forget them. Give us a call next week. We'll be right back with that. But I want to remind you that you can go to youtube.com and search for this episode here, or you can go ahead and subscribe and get all of the shows that we've done this summer, and you can review them for your gardening pleasure. So, folks, it's time for me to crawl out of here. Buster's about to push me out the door. So, we'll see you next week. This is Let's Get Growing with Nathan Wilson. Glad to see you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Let's Get Growing program with Nathan Wilson. If you have a comment about today's program, you can reach out to Nathan by sending an email to grow@laniernursarygardens.com. Join us next Saturday for Let's Get Growing on Local News Radio 93.9 FM and AM 1350.